Hey, what is going on? Welcome to Dharma Time here on WPSN99.com, the problem-solving network where we stream solutions. I am the Dharma Guy here with the Dope Doctor.
What up, what up?
You know, every time that the theme song starts to come on,
Yeah?
you remember the 60 Seconds movie where Nicolas Cage was like, hold on, and he played the music, he's like, pause for a second, he was like, all right, let's go. That's how I feel every time. Every time it's like, let's just get a little hyped up.
It's a good feeling, man.
It is, man. It is. It's one of those weird things where you love what you do, you know?
Yeah, Jake did awesome on that.
He did.
On that song.
Yes,
Jake Atkins.
Jake Atkins. That is, so just so everybody knows, that theme song coming in, that was made by Mr. Jake Atkins, right? I messaged him, and I said, look, man, I need a song. I gave him a couple songs that I liked, and I was like, can you make it sound similar to this, but it's got to be my own, because we do a lot of stuff on YouTube and things that can't have copyright infringements. Right. And so he made me my own song. So
even though the Couch Live tune is full of that.
Well, you know what? It might not be enough to where it catches anything.
Yeah, it's got to be under 15 seconds, I think is what it is. Either 7 seconds or 15 seconds.
I know.
Ask the attorneys, they know.
Exactly. Yeah, you'll get an email somewhere.
Yeah.
Anyways, so let's just jump right into it. We'll do all of our fun stuff towards the end. So let's jump into it. So last week, we started our 3-part series, right? 3-part series on relationships. Today's part 2. So part 1 was essentially, I don't know, what, pre-relationship, I guess, is what we're going to call that. Wooing,
pre-commitment.
Pre-commitment, wooing somebody, trying to, just kind of decide for yourself if a relationship is the course that you want to take and
right.
What that means to you and how to kind of go about that process. So today, we figured we would talk about kind of the 3 made, like the next stages, if you will, which we broke down to proposal, marriage, and the first 7 years.
Right.
Right. So, you got proposal. We'll break it down as far as that decision of, hey, I want to commit, because you might not necessarily get married, right? It could be
all the single ladies, all the single
yeah,
ladies.
Right. Or it could be like a civil marriage, right? Or where you just you live together. What is it called? A common law marriage.
Oh, that's so nice. Has a name.
Well, even though Florida doesn't recognize common law, I guess, but then you got marriage. So that would be the commitment of living together and whatnot, and then the first 7 years. So whether you're actually going to pop the ring or not, whatever you're into, I guess.
I would call that other one the chicken shit period.
Well, yeah, I guess. Depends on how you look at it, maybe. I don't know. I will say this much,
I'm
though.
messing with him.
Well, I will say this much, and this is something that and I guess we're going to go ahead and just jump right into it.
Yeah.
Before I got married, I heard this a lot, and I never really believed it.
Right.
It never made sense to me. I was even cocky about it. I was like, whatever, that's so stupid. Get out of here with that. And what I heard was, the second you get married, everything changes. Mm. And everybody was like, it doesn't matter how long you've been together. It doesn't matter how long you've even lived together. You could have lived the life of a married couple.
Right.
But it all changes the second you say I do.
It's different.
And yes.
It's 100% different.
Literally like the day after.
Yeah, me too.
The day of, there was still like a high of, we got married. Oh my God, woohoo, But the next day, it was like, it was different.
Mm-hmm.
And like we were having discussions and talks and things that just never ever came up or were never an issue. Were all sudden issues, and it was just crazy. It was just weird that just like, and I'm not the only one this has happened to, obviously. And I've had friends, and I've seen people who've been together for like 6 or 7 years get married, and then they get divorced and break up in like 6 months.
Yeah,
and it's like, wow, dude. So there is something to it, but I think that's partly why we're having the shows, right? Because we want to talk to those people. There's no reason it has to go that route, right? There's another way, if you will, that it can go that brings you a little bit more joy and fulfillment, right?
Right, exactly.
So, where do you want to start, man? You're the old timer here. Where do you think is a good place to start? I mean, you see proposal here, so I guess that's leading up to it. Like you've been together for a little while.
The proposal is everything.
I didn't propose.
The proposal is everything, Trinity.
But I didn't propose. She proposed to me.
Well, but it's everything to her then.
Yeah, but she didn't like do the whole one knee thing. Ours was like weird.
All right, you're just gonna have to tell the story then.
Oh boy,
kind of help us in.
She might get mad at me for
just
that.
Help us get into it.
All right, we'll get it. I don't care.
Come on,
I got no secrets.
She doesn't watch the show.
This will be the one that she watches.
This will be the one that she watches.
No, so all right, so for me, I was very anti-marriage. I wouldn't call myself the chicken shit. I just didn't want to do it. I didn't see value in marriage. I didn't see value in being together.
You would say that on our show. You would tell. You would.
Yes,
you would literally just
on the
say,
Couch Live.
Yeah.
I was always saying, nope, not going to happen. Hence, everybody's like shock and awe when they found out that I pulled the trigger. I guess. But no. So mine. We were. I don't know if I'd call it dating at first. We were friends.
Are you giving us the long version or the short version,
both.
Trinity? It's only an hour show.
Both.
And this is only the first segment.
Yeah. No. So we were dating, I guess, and at this point we were dating for I don't know, almost a year, I guess. And I had a hernia. I had a problem with a hernia. I had no insurance, and it was expensive. It was like $10,000 to get the hernia surgery. And
don't admit to any insurance fraud if there's any.
No, there's none.
Okay, good. All right, just making sure.
But what she brought up to me,
clawbacks.
She made a comment, and she was like, "Why don't we just get married? You can have my insurance."
Right.
And at first, I was like, "Oh hell no, I'm not marrying you." What? No. But it wasn't that I didn't want to marry her. It was just I didn't like the idea of making a lifelong commitment to somebody over medical needs, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But that got me to thinking. And I stopped. I was like, hold up, wait a minute. She basically just said marriage here. And so I found other ways of getting the surgery if I wanted it. Like I found ways I could just buy some cheap insurance and get it done. Like it wasn't really that bad for what I had to get done. Like it wasn't brain surgery. It was a hernia. But that got me to thinking, and I started looking further into it. And I don't know. We were coming back from a cruise in November. And it was right after Thanksgiving. We had a free cruise, and we were on our way back driving. We saw that Cyber Monday was coming up, and we saw that there was deals on Cyber Monday to go to fly.
Right.
And I was just like, screw it. Let's just get married. Let's do it.
That easy.
And we decided we eloped to Vegas. We bought some plane tickets. We went to Vegas. We stayed in the Palms, and we got married. We got married in a drive-thru.
With Elvis?
No. Elvis was like $700, bro. I was like, nah. We went through a drive-thru.
A drive-thru.
Yeah, it was so cool. It's such a cool story, dude. It's such an awesome story.
Wait. What makes that story cool?
Because who do you know that's got married through a drive-thru? Me.
No, who do I know that stayed married? No, the question is not who do we know that got married in a drive-thru. The question is, kids, who do we know that stayed married?
Well, I wasn't drunk, though. See, ours wasn't like a drunk thing.
Yeah, there you go. And that's the other thing. Who do you know that was sober and got married in a drive-thru?
Exactly.
That's the real question.
But the thing for me, though, which I found, I guess, odd, right, was even though I didn't want marriage, I didn't believe in it, it's something that means a lot to me, right? Like the the concepts behind it, the principle, I guess, because I'm a man of principles. So the principle of, it's one thing to date somebody, even to make like a verbal commitment.
Yeah.
It's another thing to go through, legal documents and signing, taking names, making that kind of a commitment. And so for me, it was like a major deal. It was really important for me. And so I told her ahead of time, it's like, look, I'm going to make sure if we do this, it's not for insurance. Like, I can get through insurance. My mommy was like, look, dude, if it's just insurance, I'll cover you. I'll help whatever I got to do. Like, don't do it just for that. And so...
Smart mom.
Yeah. But so I remember sitting down and telling Angel, I was like, look, let's do it. Like, and it's not just for insurance.
Yeah.
Let's do it because... I think we can make this work. Wow. I think we got a good thing going here. Let's do it.
Yeah.
And so, we made it happen. So that's our proposal story, by the way.
That's a beautiful story.
I think it is, man. I really do. I think it's just a cool story because two people who didn't want marriage, who had nothing to do with it, came together and had like a really cool little story and just made it happen.
Right. Well, it just reminds me of all the people who come to this country and, are looking around going, I'd really like to stay here. And then propose on a whim while driving down the street going, Mira, ¿tú crees que nosotros nos podemos casar, por favor? And then somebody goes, sure, I'll marry you. There's a language barrier, but
we'll make it work.
You
got $10,000? Oh, God.
What a beautiful story.
No, we're both citizens, so that's good.
Was she a citizen before, though?
Yes.
Were you a citizen before?
As far as I know, yeah. I had a passport. So.
I'm just clarifying it for all our INS listeners.
Yeah, right.
Just to make
La migra.
La migra. No, but okay. So you asked me a question. Well, the proposal I think is everything because it sets the tone.
Okay.
Because the proposal will be brought up in countless numbers of parties.
Yes.
Countless numbers of situations.
Yes.
Just like now,
yes.
people will always
want to know
forever
how.
ask. Yes. And depending on if that's a good thing or bad thing or some craziness or whatever, will dictate the conversation back in the car going home.
Okay.
It will be brought up.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing, Trinity. If we're going to set this up for real, we got to be completely honest.
Let's do it.
Women have a very long memory.
Yes.
They don't forget anything.
No.
And they will remind you about their memory.
Yes.
Whereas a guy, just likes to let it go.
Very short memories.
Short memory.
Let it go.
And
let it go.
I don't want to think about it again, especially if it led to a fight.
Yeah.
If it led to some sort of discomfort,
what are you talking about? I forgot already.
I have no idea what you said.
Exactly.
Deny, even if I have the memory.
Yeah.
Whereas the women will bring it up. So when I say the proposal is everything, fellas and felines,
Right.
if you set the tone up properly,
Sure.
then forever you have some way to get her to giggle, smile. You know how when you said last week something about, I think you said it live on the air, actually. I don't know if it was on the couch live or on this show, or maybe it was a private conversation.
Whatever. They're all blended
All right,
together,
it was a
man.
private conversation now that I remember. But I said we had short memories, right?
Exactly.
But you had said that the cool thing about your son is that no matter where you're at with him, all you have to do is tickle him and
Yeah.
he gets out of it. Well, that's the way these stories are.
Yeah.
So when I'm saying set it up right,
Right.
what you're doing, fellas, is you're setting up a way to always. Sorry, Robert. You're always setting up a way to get yourself out of a bad situation.
You can't give away your tips and secrets, man.
I'm telling.
Dan might watch this.
I gotta give them the tips and
You
secrets.
got to give them some value here. All right.
No, at the time I had no idea it was a tip and secret.
All right.
I just got lucky enough that it's a beautiful story. We have a great love story.
Right. So what's your proposal story? What is it?
No, I have a bad. My love story. I mean, my love story is great. My proposal story is nothing.
all right.
It was Christmas time, and I just did the old. It's Christmas. I'm on my knee, and I did it.
Okay.
And I had like tears in my eyes, which is like impossible,
That's
right?
a good one. I should
but,
remember that.
But it was good. But the point is that you have to have one or the other, a great how we met story or a great proposal story, because those get you out of situations,
Sure.
or they give you extra bonus points, and you know damn well that whole ride home she's thinking about,
Right.
I want to love this man.
Well, and that's the cool part about my story with the whole.
You guys can always laugh.
Well, and not only that though, but she's the type of person that likes that.
Yeah.
She didn't want like the big lavish $10,000 wedding and
Right.
stuff. Like, she was totally cool with the way we did it. It was
God,
very
now I'm
simple.
falling in love with her.
Yeah, me too. And our rings, bro. Like our rings are tattooed on. Like we didn't even. I didn't have to spend several months' salary and all that.
So
No.
Vegas.
Yeah, it's so awesome.
So Vegas.
We couldn't do the tattoos in Vegas though. We did them here in Florida. But anyways, I digress. So the one thing I don't like though is the proposals that are forced. You know, the ones that are like, when are you going to marry me? When are you going to do this? I hear about those a lot. It's like, wow, really? Is that how you want to start building a
Right.
life, man? Is
Right.
that the foundation you want to put it on?
Well, I mean, it sucks that they have to be put in that situation, right?
It sucks that either one of them has to be put in that situation.
Yeah, it sucks for both.
Yeah, it sucks that one feels the need to compel the other one to, and for the other one, it sucks that they don't feel the desire to kind of just do it.
Right. Right. And so when we're saying commit, it's like you on that motorcycle, man. Like Trinity has this
Yeah.
picture, and for those of you that know Trinity Phillips, the Dharma Guy, he used to do motorcycle stunts, right? And so he has this picture of him standing up on a crotch rocket, like going down the street, and you had to commit to that trick.
Yes, you can't
Because you
half-ass that one.
You can't stand up with your arms out. He's like this, standing up with his arms out.
Yeah.
For those of you watching this in some sort of video,
It's called the
feed.
Christ.
The Christ. He's standing up like Christ,
Yep.
on a cross, and just committed to the thing. So compare that to the commitment that you had with Angel, and the commitment people should have
Well,
when
I think
they're
that's-
going into this proposal situation.
Yeah, and I think that it's the same in the sense that you can't kind of half-ass a relationship, right? And I think that's the problem nowadays, and that's one of the reasons why we're having these shows. Is I think people are expecting full results from half-ass effort in relationships, right? They look at their relationship and they feel like certain things don't measure up.
Right.
They think, I'm not getting this, I'm not getting this, I'm not getting the fulfillment that I need.
Or I'm not going to get it if I marry her.
Yeah.
Like I hear from married friends, the sex is going to stop or something like
Right.
that. So that fear that the sex is going to stop,
Right.
that's a scary thing.
But, they're not really kind of putting forth the right amount of effort either, though. And that's the problem is, you got to build that life.
Right.
And that's the thing that, we had to kind of learn even in our own marriage. We're celebrating our third year married this December. And we've had to learn over these years to build it. It's not something that just happens. You got to build it. You got to work towards it. You got to make it like a priority, right? But I think a lot of that starts with, we kind of skipped over the proposal. Now we're going into marriage. I think this is all going to bleed together.
Bleed it
Just
together,
so
bro.
You guys know. I think in a relationship, when you start it, I think some of the mistakes that people make is right off the bat when you listen to the other person. I think a lot of times we listen to either argue or to convince. You're not listening to understand.
Right.
I know in our relationship, we would always listen to each other. Listen. I use that in quotations.
Air quotes? Are you doing air quotes?
I am. We would listen, but really all it was just waiting for your turn to speak.
Yes.
Or you would hear that one thing
Right.
that you didn't agree with, and
Right.
you waited the rest of the time to just, remember that, and you would just kind of focus on that one part that you felt that they got wrong and then completely ignore the rest.
You were on pause.
And then what happens is that person, it just goes back and forth, and next thing you know, you're in an argument.
Right.
And then you walk away thinking, what the heck, man, this person, we're always arguing. Well, dude, you didn't do your part.
Yeah.
Your part is to listen, to understand.
Right.
Your part is to try to, look, man, you got a completely different perspective.
Mm-hmm.
You're my person. I chose you. We're together.
Right.
I'm trying to listen to what you have to say.
Well, the hardest thing to do, Trinity, is that look, science says every action has an equal and opposite reaction, correct?
Yes.
All right. So when someone's using weapons against you and someone's constantly searching for ammunition so they can shoot you with it,
Right.
it's like there's a lot of people out here, and I've been in that situation where I'll look for some ammunition. The difference is my ammo is going to be powerful.
I'm going to fight to win.
You know what I mean? I mean,
Sure.
I'm not going to take a little knife to
But
a gunfight.
To me, that's the problem.
That is the problem.
That mentality.
No, but that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You take a simple scientific
Yeah.
understanding of every action has an equal and opposite reaction, then you make it into your personal philosophy,
And that's
then
a recipe for disaster.
and then what you make it to is almost like a virtue. Instead of a negative or some sort of thing that you need to work on, you turn it into like a virtue,
Yeah.
like I always hit harder.
Yeah.
And then that's a macho thing.
That means you're an asshole. is what
yeah,
that
it
means.
is exactly what it means.
And-
Guilty as charged, though, by the way.
Well,
I've done it.
absolutely,
Because my ammo is much
Yes.
larger.
All right, kids.
Well, I don't know that anymore. They have.
Oh, yes. They
when
can
they
cut
mature,
deep.
yeah, that's the next show.
Yeah, they can cut
It's the next show.
So, and I can say that same thing from personal experience. It just doesn't work, right? The thing that you have to remember, if you're trying to have a relationship, let's say you're new in a relationship, let's say you just married, you're kind of in that building phase. The first 7 years is basically what we're going to put this to. You're in the first 7 years. One of the most important things is kind of, you got to remember that's your person, right? Like you're not just some dude off the street or some chick off the street. You're not a coworker. You're not an acquaintance. You're not the bartender behind the bar. You're not the valet parker. You're my person. And so when I go home, I got to remember that's my wife. That's my person. I chose her. There's a billion people on this planet. I chose her, and she chose me. And so we have to always keep that in mind when you're talking to somebody. This isn't the enemy. You were saying ammo and everything else. That's the problem. Is we look at things like ammo. We look at things like, hey, they're attacking me, or I'm attacking them, or I'm going to get them. No, dude, that's war. You're not in war. You're in a relationship.
Yeah.
You're trying to build something.
Yeah.
And so, where I'm at now in my life, my wife will say some things every now and then when she gets hurt, frustrated, and I will too. But the difference is, we give each other the benefit of the doubt now.
Yeah, you have to.
Like now, if my wife will have like a bad day or something, and she'll
Yeah.
she'll be going through something. Who knows? Like
Right.
something happened. There's a lot of
Right.
things in life.
Mhm.
I've learned to kind of see like, okay, she's a little upset at the moment. Let me do what I can to make her day a little bit better.
Mhm.
And most important, let me get the hell out of the way. Right? Let me just get out of the way. You go ahead and do you. You go ahead
Right.
and have your moment. You're
Whatever
allowed
it
to have
takes.
that. You're not a perfect person.
For
You're
as long as you need it.
Exactly. And then when you're ready, I'll be here.
Yeah.
And I don't take any of that personal. I don't, I don't take it as a challenge to be like, oh, what'd you just say to me? I don't know, man. Like, yo, you're going through a problem. I'm here.
Yeah.
What can I do to make your day a little bit better?
Exactly.
And sometimes that is just leave her alone. Sometimes just give me some space. All right, cool.
That's a lot of time.
Exactly. And vice versa, right? And she does the same. There's been days where I've been struggling with some stuff, or I've been frustrated. There's a lot of
Right.
things going on that you and I are both involved in.
Right.
And there's been days I'm frustrated, and she can tell that, and she just kind of like, all right, let me go ahead, and she'll make sure she cooks dinner that night or whatever it may be. She'll get involved in something. Hey, Brett, thank you.
Oh, you actually said it, and I was sitting here just
I
doing
had to.
head munches.
I had to. But no, so she'll give me my moment, right? She can tell that she's learned to kind of read, and she too doesn't take what I say personally and things of that nature anymore. And we both try to keep that in mind with each other. But the most important thing is when you talk to that person,
Right.
you got to understand that like when I listen to my wife,
Yeah.
right? I don't immediately, and I don't agree with everything that she says or does.
Right.
I mean, she has a completely
Nor
different,
should you. Nor should
Yeah,
you.
exactly. But she
That's
has
not healthy.
She has a completely different perspective than I do.
Mhm.
And so when I listen to her, I'm not trying to convince her of my perspective. I'm not trying to
Ever?
No, not really. I kind of just
Really? Never?
It depends on what kind of a debate we're in. If we're in a debate, yes.
Oh, I
If
find
we're-
I find myself recorrecting myself all the time and saying, what am I doing? I find myself sometimes mid-sentence going, what am I doing? And I back right off.
I used to early
Because
on.
it's so common way to, because everybody's a different relationship, right? And I didn't mean to cut you off, but everybody's a different relationship.
Absolutely.
And so sometimes when I'm in a discussion with her, I realize this is Dana. Wait, this is different.
Yeah.
I can back off and just let her go.
See, I don't.
You know what I mean?
I
Whereas
used to.
in some situations, whether it be in business or whatever, you can't do that.
Of course.
And this one, no, I got to bulldoze this one. This one I got to do. I got to be right in this thing because this affects this or it affects that. But in a relationship, it's not that. You can just let them go.
I didn't used to. You got to remember, like, we went through, what the other thing that I was told from everybody, aside from the everything changes, was the first year is the hardest.
Right.
I was told that by a lot of people, and I got to be honest with you. Yes, I mean I'm not going to put our personal business out there, but it was the first year was definitely challenging.
Right.
It was challenges that neither one of us anticipated, and you got to remember from our stake. For those of you who don't know me personally, we have a blended family, right? Like I have 2 kids and she has 2 kids that we kind of brought together. So
that complicates it.
Yeah, absolutely. So we had a lot of issues that we didn't kind of anticipate coming up that affected us in ways.
Right.
Not to mention we both brought baggage into the situation. I mean, it was just all that came to a head, right? And we had to deal with all those things. And so early on, I absolutely did that. But, it was, and I think I'm not sure if we're talking about this one or not, but I made it a priority for me, right? Like I asked myself, what do I want? Do I want to be right or do I want to be happy? And I want to be happy. And part of what I think is going to make me happy is building a successful long-term relationship. So I made sure, like, look, that is my priority. I'm going to focus a lot of my attention on that. And so at first, yes, it was hard. But where I'm at now, yeah, dude, a lot of times I'm like, okay, I kind of just let her do her thing.
So you say you listen to her and you know that that's her perspective.
Yes.
Like, so you don't try to prove your perspective to her.
Correct. So when she'll, like, there'll be something in the house or whatever, and she'll come at me, and I might not agree with her perspective, but I allow her to have it because she's entitled to it. Much in the same way I'm entitled to mine.
Right.
I have a certain way I want to do something. I don't really need input. I kind of just need support.
Yeah.
But I have to, in order for me to get that respect, I need to give it, because at the end of the day, I have to remember she's my partner, she's my teammate, man. She's the one I chose, and so her opinions are just as valid. And to be honest with you, dude, she's right like 99% of the time. Like my wife has got this unique perspective to be able to see straight through things. There's been oftentimes where, I'll have a certain viewpoint on something,
Right.
And I'm coming from a much more hard-nosed kind of, no-nonsense approach, very logical approach. And she'll come up with something that at first I'll be like, well, that sounds stupid. But then afterwards, like, oh, wait a minute, I think she got a point there.
Right.
And then it'll end up working out exactly the way because she'll come from a more emotional perspective
Right.
that I just don't have. And so I think that's where we balance each other out. And so, but through that, I had to learn the hard way, though, to not correct, to not, quote unquote fix or, whatever. And I do believe that's a hard thing to do, because I think a lot of us as human, it's our human nature to try to like nitpick almost,
Right.
to try to like change people into something else. Oh, I can deal with that for now. They'll change. No, just accept them for who they are.
Right.
And kind of, and work around that.
Right.
So, yes, at first I had a hard time, but I focused so much attention on that like I really kind of zeroed in on it, because that was one of my biggest things. And so I focused a lot of energy to not do that anymore.
And that's tough.
Oh yeah.
And that's tough. That takes and that's what we're talking about in the second segment instead of the first segment, because in the first relationship segment, that is available right now on YouTube if you want to go back and check it out.
Nice plug, baby.
Yeah. But on the first segment, we didn't really get into that part of the commitment, because in this part, now you're committing the marriage, and now you're saying, this is the deal. This is what we're doing. So if this is what we're doing, then it's okay to be the mature one and not have to be right now, especially. Like we touched on it last time, but this one especially, you don't need to win every argument. A matter of fact, that's when I've known because we're talking about that first 7 years of marriage.
Yeah, I'm still in this 7 years right now.
Yeah, we're still in the 7 years.
Yeah.
Right. So in the first 7 years of marriage, what you definitely want to know is that, and by the way, I'm 25 years married, so I do have some knowledge of what those 7 years felt like.
Sure.
But in those first 7 years, what's more important is the errors that you may make and the things that you said can never be unsaid. They're never unheard.
Yeah.
So it's real important in those first 7 years to not set yourself up for a later conversation or a later argument based on something you said. And you could be right. My time, Trinity, and I counted this. This used to be a conversation in those first 7 years. I used to say, I listened to you for 45 minutes. At 45 minutes, I'm sorry, but that's when I would blow up.
Right.
So I always kind of knew, and it was just, and that's just an observation that I made. Is like, wow, man, I do really good at those first 45 minutes. But 45 minutes in of just hearing it, it's like,
Sure.
that I can't anymore. You now need to stop. This now has to stop.
Sure.
And so then I would say something like real
Wait,
loud.
you were quiet for 45 minutes?
Dude, I was like a professional status. I thought I am the best husband on the planet because I am silent for 45 minutes.
Kids, for those of you who know him personally, he was quiet for 45 minutes.
Dude,
that would be big for me too, though. My wife tells me, "Oh, you talk too much." So,
dude,
yeah.
I could do 45 minutes, and what I mean quiet is just not raising my voice,
Right.
and staying respectful.
Okay.
But at 45 minutes, then it was like
I've had enough.
I would get loud,
Right.
or I would say something. And so then the argument would become about what I said.
Sure.
And it'd be like, well, you just lost the whole point.
Right.
So I just lost the battle. Then I would be mad at that. I'd be mad that now we're talking about something I said 45 minutes in. That's not the reason we were just in this long conversation.
Right.
You can't use what I said now as the reason
Sure.
when we've been in a 45-minute
Yes, they can.
conversation.
Yes, they can.
Oh, that's all.
They can
it
do
was
whatever
about.
they want.
That was all about.
Yes.
So, and so the key at that point is if you're going to commit to this situation and be in this situation and learn to understand and listen and know that that's their perspective, you're not going to change their perspective
No.
in an argument, not during a time of emotion.
No.
During a time of emotion, nobody's learning and listening.
No.
You don't go to school and go, hey, class, in order to be better at learning today, we're just going to piss you all off.
Yeah. Well, nowhere.
Now learn.
Never in the history of my marriage
Ever.
have I ever been in like a heated debate with my wife, and I'm trying to get her to see a point, and she stopped and, oh my God, you're so right.
Dude,
I
you don't
didn't
learn
know."
anything.
It never has
Never.
happened. Ever.
Dude, there's not an athlete that went into the corner and learned from what they heard.
No.
There's not a football player, baseball player, any kind of player that went while they're mad and the coach is trying to tell them, settle down. Blah, blah.
No.
Oh, you're right, coach. And no,
Never
it's always later
Yes.
in the meeting on Monday or
The
Tuesday.
reflection is when it happens.
Yes.
Yeah, it's never from the outside stimulus.
That's why the media gets so many good interviews right after the game.
Yeah.
'Cause
We
these
play to win the game.
They haven't even processed it.
No,
through.
they're still angry.
They're still emotional. And when you're emotional kids, you can't learn and listen. So what Trinity is saying, what the Dharma Guy is saying, is to understand that that's their perspective, but this is a longer game than just a couple innings.
Yes. Well, and not only that, but you can't. No perspective is wrong. That's
No,
the thing.
it just is.
Facts are facts.
Right.
That's don't interpret or don't confuse facts with perspective. Facts are one thing. Facts are like a mutually agreed upon thing that it's a fact that today is Tuesday. But perspective would be today. Tuesday's the best day, right? That's
Right.
perspective, and everybody has the right to their perspective. Your spouse has their own life. Your spouse has their own experiences and their own viewpoint.
For sure.
Once again, the example I used during our perspective show, months ago,
Right.
was, if there's a flower in front of us,
Right.
and you and I see it as blue,
Right.
but women who have better, more color, more ability to see different colors, call it some other color.
Right.
A dog sees it as gray. Like, who's right? Well, we're all right because that's what we see.
Yeah.
You can't tell me that it's not blue when I'm looking at it and it's blue.
Especially if you study physics and you realize the color you're seeing is not even the real color anyway.
Yeah. So I think that's the important part is when you're in a relationship, man, is spend more time listening than you do talking.
Right.
Because that's the other thing too is people, especially in a relationship, want to be heard. We want to feel listened to. We want to feel validated. We want to feel like you get it.
And that's a key point. I think you should stay there a little bit longer. Stay in that pocket because I think that's the key. That really is the key.
Sure.
Is that show that you're listening. And listening doesn't mean be silent. Here's the problem
Active
with people's
listening.
listening. Yeah, it's active listening.
Yes.
The problem with a lot of listeners and people that think they're listening is they're making faces. They're showing their judgment on their face,
Yeah.
or they're showing. Guys, I used to have an issue with this. I'd still be watching SportsCenter while I'm listening. I may have the volume down because she said turn it down or pause it or whatever, but I'm still actively reading the lips
Right.
of SportsCenter.
I use subtitles.
So the key is here I'm thinking I'm listening, but I'm listening like a guy listens to another guy.
Exactly.
Listening guy to guy, friend to friend is not the same. Is like like when I'm listening to you, I can be texting,
Sure.
I can be answering someone else's question, I can be doing listening to your wife is like listening like when I'm doing the therapy.
Right.
That client wants me to be looking at them eyeball to eyeball.
Well, and that's where the active listening, right? Is you repeat back what they heard, like, oh, so what you're saying is this,
Right.
And that way you confirm that you understand. You know, at the end of the day, when you're listening to somebody, it's about them. It's not about you.
Right.
They're trying to be heard. They're trying to feel validated.
Right.
And listening means listening. It doesn't mean telling them that they're wrong. Well, I listen to you. No, you got to listen. They got to feel like they're heard. And sometimes that's all it takes, bro. Sometimes they just want to be heard. There's no even argument. They just want to feel heard. When you feel that, when they feel heard, it's done. It's the closure's done. They walk away.
It's 100% better.
Yeah.
I mean, it is so powerful.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, especially if you were gone and you come home, if that initial, instead of thinking the first 5, 10, 15 minutes, I just need to relax and need quiet time. No. You should have done that in the car.
Right.
Because if you come home and give them the first 5, 15 minutes of listening, like about their day, I don't care if they're talking gibberish.
Right.
That, my friend, is gold.
Yeah, no, I agree with that 100%.
Especially in that first 7 years, because in that first 7 years, you're just figuring out each other's mood swings.
Well, you're building.
Like serious mood swings.
Which is one of my other points I want to get at is the building, right? And once again, guys, this is all going to merge together.
This is a fluid.
This is such a big topic, so... but that's the other part of, like, this all fits together, and the big, the overall, like, umbrella, if you will, is building a life. And that's the thing, that's the thing that I had to learn. And then my wife even we had to learn together was, we've had experiences in relationships, but obviously none of them were fantastic because we didn't get married, didn't make it last.
Right.
They ended at some point.
Mm-hmm.
And both of us come from broken homes, so we didn't have this great, example of what a fantastic marriage is. So we kind of had to learn. And the thing that we didn't realize was you gotta work at it. You gotta build it. Right. You build a marriage. A marriage just doesn't happen. And you don't take out the marriage word, a good relationship, right? Because even if you're not getting married, you've been together for, a couple of years and you don't want to leave this person. Well, you're building a relationship.
Yeah.
And part of that building is, giving love, dignity, respect, validation, setting up routines that are good for everybody, to where everybody feels, loved, kind of a thing, right? And I think that
and safe.
And safe is a big one. But that's where you come into whole buying, like in the very beginning we woo one another, we, dates and stuff like that. But then when you get together, sometimes you don't do it anymore. Now, I don't need to woo my wife anymore. We're married. But I still like to take her out on date nights. I still like to spend quality time with her.
Yeah, don't forget
Just
her.
because you see each other every day, you're sitting on the couch watching TV or checked out for the moment, that's not really quality time. And that's the problem I think a lot of relationships do, is they don't realize the effort that it takes to keep building.
Yeah.
Right? And so, we just went out to, like, a couple weeks ago, we went out to shark fishing. That was one of our date nights.
That's cool.
And it doesn't have to be, the thing that I got stuck in a lot, personally, was I would come up with all these excuses on why we couldn't do it. Like, oh, it's kind of, I don't have the money for it, or the time. Make the time, dude. Like, there's nothing that's going to be more important than that bond between the two of you. Because at the end of the day, that marriage, that bond is going to get you through all these other problems that you're having. And so when you take the time out to put the work and effort in to make that a priority and build, never stop building, that'll take care of you more than anything else will, dude.
Dude, Dana does not allow me to ever use money as a reason. Right. Because she'll always say, you'll never remember those dollars.
Yeah.
You'll have the memory, but you'll never remember.
And there's things that don't
how much you
money.
paid for it. And it's
like,
go, that's true.
In the park or something like that.
There's a lot of things that we've done. I don't remember what we paid for it. I know it was a lot or a little or whatever, but what I'm saying is the memory.
Yeah.
She's all about making memories, which makes it really cool for a person like me, because that's all I'm about.
Yeah, same here.
And I think that's great in the first 7 years to make some really great memories. Again, remember, you'll be drooling 20, 30 years later maybe sometimes. So you better log in those memories now.
Yeah. But like I said, that's all part of the building process, though, is learning, like, learning to listen, to understand, not to convince or whatever.
Yeah.
Remembering that that's your person. Like, those are all part of the building phase. It's all building. And it's so important, right? And like making your spouse, and we keep saying wives because we're both married to wives, but making your spouse a priority.
Right.
Right? Like there was a debate one time, and here we go. This is where our philosophy will combine.
Right.
There was a debate. We almost did a whole show on it one time, but we didn't. There was a debate going on with can you have a spouse, or can you or your spouse have a friend, like a really close friend of the opposite sex, where you would like go hang out and go on vacations together and things of that nature.
Right.
And my answer is no. And it's not that I think that you should get rid of all your friends, but to me, it's an optic situation. And not only that, to me, it's if I've got time to go out on vacation or I got time to go travel, that time should be spent with my wife, not with somebody else.
Right.
No matter how close of a friend I am with this person, I'm tied to this one. I'm married. This one took my name. This one, my future is tied to. That's where my spare time needs to go.
Right.
Not to this other person.
Yeah.
Even my wife is cool with it. I wouldn't do it because why am I spending time building this friendship when I can spend time building this marriage? Because 30 years from now, this marriage is potentially still going to be there.
Yeah, our wives can probably get jealous of each other because we spend so much time together, so much less a female.
Yeah, right?
God, if you were a female and I was traveling to Bristol with you,
Oh, God.
I mean, how do you explain that one?
I wouldn't.
I mean, thank God it's Brett TV as a male.
Yeah, right?
Imagine going to Vegas with a female, another female that's not even us two.
Yeah. No, not and for me, not Vegas, especially at the time frame.
That's what I'm saying.
Both of our wives' birthdays are right around there, too.
So like, how does that
That
come?
would be horrible.
So the answer, I agree with you, and the thing is not, we don't have to be these evolved people. Don't make your spouse have to be so damn evolved
Yeah.
that what your philosophy has to be.
Right.
There's a lot of things that you can believe philosophically that don't have to be.
Yeah. Well,
You
I mean,
know?
and that's the other part, right? Is you got to accept them for them.
Yeah, and accept reality for being your reality.
Well, the
You know what I mean?
one of the biggest things was the whole the accepting them for them thing, right? Like that's a huge thing I hear all the time with people. My wife has certain quirks and certain things that I don't have. Right? Like she's more likely to get overwhelmed with a situation or frustrated or like anxiety kind of a thing. Because she just has her certain way that she likes to do it, and if it outside that, she starts to get kind of flustered a little bit.
Right.
I love that about her. That's not me at all. I never get flustered. I'm like,
You love
whatever.
that about her?
I do.
Did you
because
say
it's
you
not
love
me.
it?
Yeah. I love that about her because that's her. That's who she is.
Wow.
That's who I married. I don't want to be me. I don't want to marry me. I want something to balance me out because sometimes I'm a little too cool. Sometimes I should be worried about something that I'm not.
Okay.
It balances me out.
So you're thinking about certain parts of it.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I don't love it.
No, I don't love
Dana's
the-
anxiety if it creeps in. I don't love it.
Well, I don't love the
Dana,
worry
I don't
part.
love that. I'm not as evolved as the Dharma guy. I'm not. I don't love it. I'm patiently waiting it to end, and I know it will.
I'm not saying that I don't get frustrated at
I love
times,
my wife's crazy, but there's some crazy that's just.
But that's the point right there. You just said it.
What?
We got to love their crazy, and they've got to love our immaturity.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, man, we're as men, we're always going to be immature. We're immature emotionally. We don't. There's certain things, man. There's times where I've upset somebody. Not my wife. Well, I've upset her quite a few times. But
Yeah.
like I'll be out with her somewhere, and we'll be doing something, and I'll say something to somebody, and I can go on my way,
Yeah.
and then I had no clue that I just upset that person.
Right.
And my wife was like, "Yeah, well, because you said such and such."
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
"Well, why would that upset?" It doesn't even register to me that it would upset in any way, shape, or form. Like, how would that? What?
Yeah. Social awareness.
Yeah.
Sometimes we miss it.
Yeah. But that's our immaturity. We're not woke like that. We're not to that level where we see that many different perspectives. And so that's what I love about her is she kind of balances me out sometimes.
Right.
But at the same token, I got to be willing to listen to that.
Right.
But she accepts me for who I am. And so when I say certain things, she'll just know, that's just who he is. He's not trying to be mean. And she just doesn't see it.
Right.
And vice versa. Sometimes if she gets flustered or something, I don't take it personal. Like she doesn't believe in me or believe in my values.
Right.
She gets overwhelmed sometimes. And I have to allow that to happen. And so I think that's where the whole acceptance kind of comes into play.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people don't know what that even means. Like, accept me for who I am, That doesn't mean that neither one of us want to grow. Neither one of us want to mature as people or evolve, if you will. But at the end of the day, there's certain things of who she is that I'm going to have to accept. I don't have to agree with all of it, but I can accept her for who it is. I don't have to constantly change her.
Right.
And vice versa. She doesn't have to change me.
And the key in that really is what's happening is you're leading by example.
Right.
You don't teach somebody anything, or anytime you're viewed like a teacher or you're trying to help somebody when they're in heat, that's not going to work.
Yeah.
That's not what they're asking for you. What you have to be what they're asking you to be at the moment. So if they're asking you to be a listener at the moment, that's what you do.
Yeah.
If they're asking you to be their lover at the moment, that's what you do. If they're asking you to be a provider at the moment, that's what you do. But your role is dependent about what they want your role to be, not what you feel like it to be that given day. And that's the give and take here.
Yeah, it's about them.
Yeah, because if you lead by example, you'll get a lot more by doing that than trying to force it.
No, I agree.
You know,
yeah,
it's
100%.
And you know, the physical learning on that was when I watched my dad. My dad is great at building things and doing things and projects, but he's real slow.
Right.
My brother's a lot faster. So when they work together, there's a lot of conflict.
Nice to see that. Yeah.
But I watch how my brother does it, and my dad does it, and I love it. It's very methodical, very slow, but it gets done right. And so when you watch something like that, you're like, wow, man. Yeah. You know, if you can just have the patience to allow someone to just do.
Yeah.
Then it's a lot less frustrating. He's not frustrated. He's not stressed out about the situation if it goes wrong or anything. It's just it'll be done when it's done. Yeah. And I think that's the way conversations and arguments and life and all that stuff is. That's like the physical manifestation of what we're just talking about, which is just like, you know, don't try to make it be something that you're trying to. Don't try to force it. Just let it kind of happen, and it'll turn into something beautiful. But if you're trying to force it to, like, tell me now, what's the end of the story now? I mean, really, you know, like I used to joke back then that I used to have to try to get everything done before because once SportsCenter comes on, I wanted to see it.
This is before DVR.
This is before DVR. So I wanted to make sure the argument, the conversation, everything is done.
Right.
Because I can't. You're not understanding. They're talking about Pittsburgh Steelers today. I got to hear it. You know what I mean?
Sure.
That didn't matter.
No.
We didn't used to be able to pause. See. The men today,
we got it easy, right? Just
man,
pause.
right, DVR pause. Right, whatever you got to say it now.
Yep.
I could watch it tomorrow if I have to. I just won't look on any social media, and I won't know who won.
Well, I think that the other thing that like I had to learn, you know, in this situation was, once again, my way is not the only way, right? Because I'm very much the talker. I'm very much like I don't like to let things sit. I'm very kind of like let's just get this over with. Let's deal with whatever we got to deal with and go on our way.
Yes.
Whereas my wife is much more of a processor. She likes to, something will happen and she'll need to process it. And I've made the mistake of trying to have her do it my way. Like, let's just talk about this.
Mm-hmm.
Kids, that doesn't end very well.
Mm-mm.
You know, because, we'll talk. I'm not going to like what she has to say right now. Because what she's going to say is very raw, very, very right there. And so what I've learned over the years is, you know what? I'll go to her and I'll ask her, you ready to talk about this? And you know, I think it should be talked about right now because I don't like the way it sits with me and I like to handle things. She might not be ready. And all she has to do at this point is like, no, I'm still mad at you. I still need time. Okay, I'll be out in the living room when you're ready. And I just go out there and I just mind my business and try to just go on with my day. And that's an example of how I'm letting her be her. You know, her brain doesn't work the way my brain does. Her emotions don't work the way my emotions do. So she needs time to process it. And if I go to her too early and make her talk about it, and she says something I don't like, that's my fault.
Yeah.
That's not her fault. That's mine.
Right.
I pushed the issue. I try to make her do it my way.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't accept her for who she is. And so I have to slow things down and realize that there's two people here, and her way is just as important as my way.
Right.
And so do I want to be right or do I want to be happy? I could be right. Maybe I'm right. This needs to be handled right now. I'm not going to be happy if I push it right now. So I'm going to slow down and just let her do her thing. When she's ready, we talk.
If you're right, be right.
Yeah.
It's like a person in authority. If you're in authority, you don't need to push it.
Yeah.
You already have the authority.
Yeah.
The fact that you have to mention it and say, I'm a police officer or I am a judge or I am above you, then you just lost that position.
Yeah.
You don't have to say that.
No, I agree.
I know what you are. That's the reason I'm so heated. You know what I mean? So if you're in a position where you're right, just be in the right. Don't be a smart aleck about it. Don't be making faces at them like they're an idiot. And the thing is when you're talking with somebody, especially if they're in the heat of the moment and they're wrong, the good thing about women, here's the good thing about it, they will eventually process their way into knowing that they're wrong, hopefully. Right? Yeah. There's a lot of them that will do that. I'm not saying every human is the same, but there's a lot of humans out there that'll process their way out of it or into it. What we do know is they really don't want to be in a fight, in a bad mood. They really just want peace.
Yeah, nobody wants that.
So just let them process it through. But if you interject your thought or your comment, again, I can't stress it enough. If you interject your comment, it'll be all about your comment.
Yeah.
So be quiet. Don't be on pause. be on record. She will give you every bit of advice on what you do next. She will give you every clue on what to do next. She will tell you exactly what and how to do it. Instead of fighting it and being like, hell no, nobody tells me what to do.
Stupid.
No, do it.
Yeah.
And if you can't do it, do nothing. But don't do the something that's in your head
Yes.
that you want to do.
Don't be antagonistic.
Don't.
Because it will not end well.
No. The Antichrist will come out.
Yes. But to me, that's part of the remember nature person, right? Like, that's part of that. Like,
Is that where we're at?
We're in all of them, dude.
Okay.
We lost control of this a long time ago.
Did we really?
Yeah, in our own way.
Ah, man, we got to rewind.
I'm sure there's there you go. Like my wife being the Virgo, like she wants it very in line. We would have lost her 10 minutes ago. But no, I think that that's part of the whole remember it's your person, right? Like this isn't a competition. This isn't like we fill in this narrative and we take things so personal. We get so mad and angry and like, how dare you, dude? That's your person, man. Like that's your teammate. That's your other half. You're talking that way about you. You know, like look in the mirror. If you wouldn't say it in the mirror, then don't say it to your spouse, because that spouse is you, right? Like, and I'm not talking about a booty call. Right. I'm talking about that spouse, somebody you're either married to, you want to get married to, you're living with, like you've committed to that person. Then, like you said, commit to it. Don't half-ass it. Like go all in. If you're all in, then that's your other half. That's the other part of you.
Yeah.
You know, that's an equal part, and you wouldn't talk to yourself that way. So stop talking to her that way or him that way.
Right.
You know, give that person the respect that they're due.
Yeah.
Remember, that's your person.
Right.
Like I can't stress that enough, man. That's not just some stranger out there barking at you. That is your person.
And I think it's also time to also remind people there's a show prior to this in part 1 that they can go look up, because in that one you're talking about kind of healing yourself first, taking care of yourself. Taking care of yourself first,
being the right person.
Right, you got to be the right person. So if we bring that into today's conversation, then you don't have to worry about feeling like a punk, being like a punk. She's treating me like a punk. No. Once you're secure in who you are, these arguments or these conversations, let's call them conversations because they only become arguments when you're choosing to allow it to be an argument. But they can just be a conversation that may be just a little bit longer or a little bit higher tone or a harder tone.
Sure.
But they're still a conversation until you jump in. Be the active listener. Leave it. You can allow it to continue to be a conversation. Yeah. You do have that control.
Absolutely. Well, that's the thing. The other thing I hear a lot, right, is we're so worried about the other person's behavior. Like, well, if I do this, they're going to do. Stop filling in the narrative. You're not psychic.
Yeah.
Stop it.
Yeah.
The only thing you can control is you. Yeah. Let them control them. And let me tell you something. It's really difficult. And I used to be the biggest prick you've ever seen in your life. It's very hard to be mean to somebody who's just genuinely nice to you.
Right.
It's so hard. Now, if somebody's arguing with you, I got no problem matching that.
Right.
But when you're just genuinely nice and respectful and everything else, you'll notice it's very hard for somebody to be mad and angry at you.
Right.
And so that's what you need to give out, right? You can control your behavior. Right. Stop filling in the narrative like you know what this person's thinking. Stop filling in the narrative like you know their perspective and where they're coming from and why they're saying or what they're going to say next. You can't control any of that. And you don't know any of that. You think you do, but you don't. They have their own life. As well as you know your spouse, unless you're unless you've been their therapist for 30 years, which if you have, that's gross. You shouldn't have married them. But if unless you've been their therapist for 30 years and know their whole life history, you don't know their motivations and what they're doing and why they're doing it.
Yeah.
And so stop acting like you do, right? You're not qualified to make those kind of decisions. Not to mention, even if you have been that kind of person to them, you don't know what their day was. You don't know what just happened to them earlier today and what that triggered in them and various other things.
And where's the chemistry?
Yeah.
There are real chemistry-related issues.
Yes.
We are constantly evolving in our chemistry. Yeah. Now, don't throw it at somebody.
No.
But, I mean, there are true chemical changes that happen in all of us. Yeah. All of us have cycles. All of us have chemistry. All of us have water. All of us have, some sort of energy that's moving around in our brain. And we all have a life outside of the one we're having face-to-face with that person.
Yes. And that's okay.
All those impact.
I mean, we have to realize that.
Yeah.
And you don't know how that's impacting them. And so that person you're with, they deserve your compassion, is what they deserve.
Right.
They don't deserve your judgment. And even if they're wrong, they're allowed to be wrong sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
Like my wife is allowed to be angry.
Right.
She's allowed to be wrong. She's allowed to be mad at me. I'm not going to take that from her.
Yeah.
Granted, I would prefer for it to never happen.
Right.
But she's allowed to.
Well, here's what I'm hearing. Somebody that's watching this right now or listening right now is I'm hearing somebody say, yeah, well, I'm allowed to laugh at her when she is, and I'm allowed to say this, and I'm allowed to get my point across. What am I allowed to do? And I say,
you're right, but would you rather be right or happy?
Yeah, the key is, yes, do that, but by leading by example,
right.
What you're going to learn is she may, and this is a may, if you picked correctly, she may eventually be okay with you doing it your way. However, that doesn't ever have to happen.
No.
You can laugh inside without laughing outside in someone's face.
Well, and
I've laughed a lot in my head of something Dana is saying.
Absolutely.
I mean, millions of times in my head, just especially with her in arguments with our kids, I'm laughing and rolling sometimes because I'm thinking the kid is completely right. I better stay right here because the kid. Oh my God! I said the kid is dead on, and she's ramping up because she knows she's wrong.
Right.
But she can't. She's got to stick to the point now. Yeah. Aren't you going to back me up? And I'm thinking, you did not just tag me in. Don't tag me in now.
I had those ones too.
I don't want to be tagged in.
Well, I've had the ones where I kind of just. My favorite part when those types of situations happen. Yeah. Yes, I've gotten smart enough. I'm like, I go the other way. Like I get busy doing something. But then she'll usually come up to me though afterwards and be like, "Hey, was I like totally wrong on that one?"
Well, that's healthy.
That's my opportunity to be like, you weren't totally wrong, but I did see their perspective on this one. I try to kind of iron it out, though. We worked hard for that, but yes, I've learned how to kind of just I'm gonna go that way now.
Right.
I'm gonna stay. My favorite part is when she's mad and angry at anybody but me.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm laughing in my head.
I love that part.
I'm saying that, and then my daughters or her, both of them actually. My wife will be looking at me, and my daughters will be looking at me. Dad, are you gonna say something? And I'll just be laughing.
Nope. My name is Wes. I'm not in this mess.
You guys are doing you guys need to do this.
Yeah, this is all on you.
It's all you.
But no, I think that I think all those things are important though. I really do. And the reason why we're having this is because, to address that last point, I guess, when you said, I could do this, I can do that, once again, you can be right or you can be happy, right? So yes, you can be right, and if you want to spend your time being right, there's nobody telling you can't do that. Right. And you know what? I'm gonna talk to the guys here for a second. Yeah, you could probably go with the fellas, and then they'll all agree with you. They'll all get behind you and tell you how right you are. But
Right.
But none of them dudes are gonna keep you warm at night.
None
of them dudes are gonna fill your belly. None of them dudes are gonna make you feel the way your wife feels when you come home and she greets you and she's letting you know she's missed you the entire time. So which one would you rather have? Yeah. It's not about being right all the time. It's about being happy. Yeah. And if you want to be happy, you're gonna have to be wrong sometimes.
Yeah, and if being happy to you is just in the moment, being happy like this very second, we're talking about long-term happiness. We're talking about a sustainable level of happiness.
I'm not talking about pleasure.
We're not talking about that girl across the bar that is saying, "Oh, I would never do that to my guy. If you were my guy, you're such a great guy. If you were my guy, this is what I would do." Because there's always that person.
Sure.
For men and by the way, and I think females get wooed a lot by guys that pretend to be like, "I'm not that kind he would let you be like, "Oh, he doesn't see how beautiful. He doesn't tell you daily how beautiful you are. I'd take you so beautiful. Time, girl. Oh my God, if you were when's the last time you guys went dancing? Was that? And it is, and then they'll play it slick like, you know what? Let me shut up because if I say any more, I mean, we're gonna. I don't want you to. Your guy sounds cool. Yeah, I'm not that guy. I don't want to be that guy. And then they just that's a real in, man.
Yes, sir.
Do not. And I'm surprised we didn't say this on any of these shows. Did we say it? Do not talk about your personal problems with anybody that is of the opposite sex.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah.
Ever. Don't ever talk about your relation. And if you're a homosexual, or if you're bisexual, then your rules are even more difficult.
Yeah.
Don't talk about your personal life to anybody where it can get complicated, and it can get complicated with just about everybody.
Well, and the reasons why a couple of reasons that people might not even really think about. I mean, there's the obvious of they might try to, use that as their way in kind of a thing, and it makes the whole situation,
right.
You're more susceptible to certain things and whatever.
Right.
But then there's the other option. There's been plenty of times, I'll speak from my own personal self right here. There's been plenty of times where I've been angry and I'm wanting to vent. If I vent to the wrong person, I'm not divorcing my wife, dude. We're gonna stay together.
Right.
But if I vent to the wrong person and they don't have a healthy mindset,
right.
I've just now sabotaged. How's that gonna make my wife feel knowing now that she's around somebody who thinks she's this?
Right. And how are they ever gonna really appreciate and respect your wife?
Exactly.
So you got to speak it to mature people. You got to speak it to people that aren't just yes people.
You did a show on that too, by the way.
And
on Dharma Time.
That's right. Yeah.
knowing who to say what to.
/ Dharma Time. But what it is when you speak, this is why therapists and counselors can be good, because even in that situation, women and men can get the wrong idea and think their therapist is someone that they're not.
Yes.
Remember, they're being paid to listen to you and help you. Don't misinterpret that as, oh my God, this man.
Oh, they love me.
Yeah,
they get me.
Yeah, this man gets me.
They
This
get
man
paid to
understands.
get
I wish my husband got me like you. Yeah. And then a bad therapist,
they're not emotionally connected.
Is gonna like, do the wrong thing with that information. But the point is if you go to at least someone who's not emotionally connected to you, they will get you. They will listen to you. They will. But they'll also give you the right feedback, and they should.
Absolutely. We're running out of time, though.
I'm sorry, one last thing on that. If you're going to a therapist and they tell you, you're right, he shouldn't do that, he should act like this, run away from that therapist, though. And I had to say that, because if I'm going to bring up therapists, there's some unhealthy ones.
There's nothing wrong with therapy, by the way. No. Therapy's not a men, women. If one of you guys are against it, I'm talking to you right now. There's nothing wrong with that. That's a completely healthy thing to do, to go get some marriage counseling, to get that third party to kind of come in and help you see some things that you didn't see before. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. Having said that, like 2 minutes ago, I'm back.
I turned me down and accidentally turned both of us down.
Yeah, no worries. All right, so let me do my 3 things real quick, because we got to thank sponsors and we got to get this stuff going. See, this is the thing. It's going to be a intense shows, and we got a whole other one coming, by the way, next week. Anyways, the 3 things. So here's your 3 tips for this show. Number 1, make sure with your spouse, you're going to listen to that spouse to understand their perspective and where they're coming from, not to argue or convince them, right? You're not trying to listen to even agree. You're just trying to understand where they're coming from. Second one is, you always got to remember, whenever you're dealing with this person, whether you're talking to them, whatever actions you take, that's your person. Don't ever forget that. Don't confuse them as the enemy. That's your person. And the third one is, never stop building that life. Whatever life you envision for yourself, you're going to have build it. It doesn't just happen. You got to build it. Sponsors. Got to do that really quickly.
Hurry up.
Thank you for Journey Pier, which is a fantastic facility. Thank you for Retreat Premier Addiction Treatment Centers. That was a mouthful. I got it out. Orange County Drug Free Coalition and the NowMattersMore.org. Go check us out. Make sure you donate, give to us. If you know anybody who needs help with drug and alcohol addiction, 833-NOW-MATTERS. That's 833-NOW-MATTERS. And now that you know better, do better. Peace.
I think he plans it all out. Just makes it up as he goes along.
Human knowledge belongs to the world.